Okay, here's a question for you. What if everything you thought you knew about, say, a really respected spiritual figure turned out to
Hmm.
be, well, just a carefully constructed illusion?
Hmm.
Today, we're plunging into a story that's as wild as it is uh, profoundly insightful. It reveals some hidden truths about spiritual practice, deception, and actually the incredible power of transformation.
It's a fascinating one. We're doing a deep dive into an ancient Buddhist text, the Jambukājīvakavatthu story. It's found in the Pali Canon.
Right, and it tells this really strange, captivating tale of Jambuka, an ascetic whose life was, well, let's just say far from what it seemed.
Exactly. Our mission today is basically to unpack this narrative. We want to pull out the surprising facts, the crucial insights.
Yeah, and hopefully by the end, you'll gain a deeper understanding of things like karma, I mean, the real nitty-gritty of it, and the difference between true spiritual progress and just putting on a show.
And the kind of wisdom that cuts through all that pretense.
Mm-hmm. So to really get the depths of Jambuka's transformation, we need to go back, way back.
To the very beginning, yeah. Long before his public performance phase.
So our story kicks off way back in the time of Kassapa Sammasambuddha. That's another fully enlightened Buddha, lived long before our current Buddha, Gautama.
Right. And the setting involves a really devoted householder. This person had built a monastery for a resident elder monk, looked after him completely.
Gave him everything he needed. But then a truly special visitor arrived.
An artist?
An Arahant, yeah.
Yeah.
A monk who's like completely destroyed all defilements, perfect spiritual purity.
The householder was just thrilled, right? Showed immense reverence, offered this visiting Arhat a new robe.
Arranged for a barber, got his hair cut, prepared a comfortable bed, really rolled out the red carpet, spiritually speaking.
But what's fascinating, or maybe disturbing, is the reaction of the monk who lived there, the resident elder.
Oh yeah, it was immediate, almost visceral. He couldn't feel any joy for the respect being shown to this visiting Arhat. Instead, just intense jealousy.
Wow.
And this little seed of envy, it led him down a path of some truly malicious actions. What did he do?
Well, that evening, he went to where the Arhat was resting and just hurled these accusations at him, 4 of them.
Accusations? Like what?
He accused him of eating filth, of having his hair pulled out by a barber, which was meant disrespectfully, of being naked, and of sleeping on the ground. Basically twisting the signs of respect into insults.
That's awful. And did it stop there?
No. And this is where the karmic consequences really start to build. The visiting Arhat, probably sensing the bad vibes, just left early the next morning, didn't even wait for the meal the householder planned.
Smart move, maybe.
Probably. But the resident monk, still stewing in his spite, wasn't done. The householder prepared this excellent alms food for the Arhat and asked the resident monk to take it to him.
Yeah.
He threw it away, just dumped the food on the road.
He threw the food away. The level of malice is shocking. What are the repercussions of something like that, according to the text?
Okay, this is where it gets incredibly serious. For these actions, the false accusations, the throwing away of the offered food, this resident monk, who we'll find out is Jambuka in a past life.
The connect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He suffered for an unbelievably long time. The text says 20,000 years in Avicii hell.
Avicii hell, that's the worst one, right? The lowest, most painful realm.
That's the one. 20,000 years. It's almost impossible to comprehend.
That's, incomprehensible suffering for an act of jealousy. So, what's the core insight here about karma? It's more than just bad actions lead to bad results, isn't it?
Definitely. It's really about the intent. That monk's envy wasn't just a passing bad mood. It was deep-seated ill will that turned into deliberate, harmful actions against a truly pure being, and Arhat.
So the target matters too.
Immensely. The insight is that karma isn't just like cosmic punishment. It's a precise reflection, an unfolding of our willed actions and the energy behind them. And the intensity is proportional to the state of mind and the spiritual status of the person you direct it towards.
Right. So actions towards someone highly attained, good or bad, have much bigger consequences.
Exactly. They carry more weight, amplifying the results, both positive and negative.
Okay. So after enduring this immense suffering for millennia, Jambuka is eventually reborn in Rajagaha.
Yes. And this is where the karmic threads start weaving this really disturbing, but also deeply insightful pattern in his new life.
How so? What was he like?
Well, even as a small child, he had these incredibly peculiar and frankly disturbing habits. Things no ordinary kid does.
Like what?
He refused to sleep on beds, refused to wear clothes, and well, he ate his own bodily waste.
Yeah, what? Seriously?
Seriously. And not only that, he would compulsively pluck out his own hair.
Wait a minute. Sleeping on the ground, being naked, eating waste, plucking hair. Those sound familiar.
Exactly. It's chilling, isn't it? These bizarre habits precisely mirror the false accusations he threw at the Arhat in his past life.
Wow. It's like his past deeds are literally manifesting in his physical behavior. The echoes are so clear and so unpleasant.
It's a very stark reflection. It's not just random suffering. It feels like the universe reflecting his specific moral debt right back at him.
So what did his parents do? I mean, you can't raise a child like that easily.
Understandably, they felt he wasn't really fit for a normal family life, so they sent him to live with the Ajivaka ascetics.
The Ajivakas. They were known for extreme practices, weren't they? On a sort of fatalistic view.
That's right. Very strict, very austere. But even they struggled with Jambuka's unique compulsions.
Did they try to help him or train him?
They tried. The text mentions they even put him in a pit up to his neck and used a palm staff to pull his hair out, trying to force some kind of ascetic discipline, maybe mirroring his own compulsion.
Like he accused the Arhat of. Wow.
Exactly. But it didn't work. Eventually, they discovered his secret diet, eating excrement.
Oh, boy. How did they react to that?
Not well. They were worried about their reputation, especially if the disciples of the Buddha, Samanta Gautama, found out. So they expelled him, kicked him out.
So now he's an outcast. All alone. What does he do?
He finds this large stone slab near a public latrine. Yes, really. And he basically reinvents himself. He crafts this elaborate deception.
A deception? How?
He creates this public performance piece. He stands on the stone slab, holds one side with his hand, lifts one leg up to his knee, and just keeps his mouth open facing the sky.
Okay. That's quite a look. What was the story he told people?
He claimed he was a wind eater. Tarapako. A supreme ascetic.
A wind eater?
Yep. Said his spiritual power was so immense it made the earth tremble, and that's why he had to stand on one leg to kind of brace himself, I guess. And he also falsely claimed he never sat down, never lay down, just stood like that, eating wind.
And people bought this?
Sadly, yes. Most people were totally persuaded. His extreme appearance, the sheer weirdness of it all, they believed him. And they brought him loads of offerings.
Offerings? Like what if he only ate wind?
Good point. They brought things like ghee, treacle, rich foods, but his performance included a way around that.
How did he handle the offerings?
He had this symbolic acceptance. He'd only touch a single blade of kusa grass dipped in the offering to his tongue.
Just a tiny touch.
Exactly. Claiming anything more would ruin his special asceticism, but of course secretly, at night.
He went back to eating bodily waste.
That was his actual diet. He kept up this whole fraudulent practice, this entire elaborate performance, for 55 years.
55 years. Standing on one leg, pretending to eat wind. That's dedication to deception, if nothing else.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
It really is almost comical, the whole wind eater claim. It just makes you wonder how easily people can be swayed by outward appearances, even today.
It really does. I mean, the text feels like a timeless cautionary tale here. People are often drawn to what looks extreme or super ascetic. They mistake the outward austerity for, genuine spiritual depth.
Yeah, like thinking difficulty automatically equals value.
Right. And it speaks to maybe a desire for easy answers or a reluctance to really scrutinize claims properly. We see that pattern everywhere, don't we? Even in our modern world, flooded with this information and, dubious claims.
Absolutely. So, okay, 55 years of this. Now let's fast forward to the time of our Buddha, Gautama.
Right. So one morning, the Buddha is doing his usual world survey, using his enlightened consciousness to scan the world for beings he can help.
And he sees Jambuka.
He perceives something extraordinary. Despite Jambuka's current state, the decades of deception, the filth, everything the Buddha sees his potential for arahantship. Full enlightenment.
Wow. To see through all that, that's incredible insight. Seeing the potential core despite the surface grime.
It really shows the Buddha's unique compassion and vision. So knowing this potential, the Buddha decides to intervene directly. He travels to Jambuka's secluded and, let's be honest, unsanitary dwelling near the latrine.
Does he just walk in?
Well, interestingly, before the Buddha even arrives, Deva's deities magically clean the entire area around Jambuka's rock, like completely sanitize it and shower it with 5 colored flowers.
Divine preparation.
Exactly, a stage set for this extraordinary encounter. Then the Buddha arrives and simply asks Jambuka for a place to stay for the night.
How does Jambuka, Mr. Wind Eater, react to the Buddha showing up?
Pure arrogance. He's incredibly rude. dismisses the Buddha, basically questions if he's even a real ascetic.
How?
He asks him about his gourd smoke ladle and sacrificial thread, things associated with other ascetic groups, not Buddhist monks. He's implying the Buddha isn't the genuine article.
So dismissive and ignorant.
Completely. But the Buddha, with just incredible patience, gently persuades Jambuka to let him use a nearby cave for the night. Jambuka just sort of indifferently agrees, like, whatever, clearly has no clue who he's just diss.
No idea at all. So the Buddha stays in the caves. What happens during the night?
This is where things get really spectacular for Jambuka. He witnesses something utterly awe-inspiring.
What does he see?
During the first watch of the night, he sees the 4 great kings arrive. These are powerful celestial beings, guardians of the cardinal directions. Their presence illuminates the whole forest.
Okay, that would get your attention.
You'd think. Then in the middle watch, Sokka shows up. He's the king of the Devas, a very prominent deity. Again, dazzling light.
King of the gods visiting the cave next door.
Pretty much. And then, in the final watch of the night, Mahabrahma himself appears, considered the very pinnacle of the heavenly realms in that cosmology. His radiance fills the entire forest.
Mahabrahma. So the highest celestial beings are all coming to visit the Buddha. Jambuka must be baffled.
Utterly amazed. He sees all this light, these incredible beings coming and going from the direction of the cave.
So the next morning,
His curiosity's through the roof. He goes to the Buddha and asks, "Who are those incredibly bright beings visiting you last night?"
and the Buddha tells him.
Calmly reveals their identities, the 4 great kings, Sokka, Mahabrahma, and confirms, yes, they came to pay homage to him, the Buddha.
How does he explain that? That these incredibly powerful beings are coming to him?
He just states his own superiority, even over Mahabrahma. He even refers to Sokka, the king of the gods, as being like a sick attendant or lay attendant in comparison to a Buddha's status, basically putting them in their place relative to enlightenment.
Whoa, okay. How does Jambuka react to that? Hearing that these gods the whole world reveres are basically attendants to this visitor.
His disbelief is palpable. He's just astonished. He blurts out something like, "That's incredible. None of those great beings ever came to visit me in 55 years, and I've been eating wind and standing on one leg the whole time?"
Huh. The ego's still there. Even after seeing Brahma, he's comparing visitor counts.
It's amazing, isn't it? He just can't reconcile what he witnessed with his own inflated self-image, his own fraudulent greatness.
His ego must have been absolutely massive to still cling to his nonsense after a night like that. How hard is it generally for someone so deep in self-deception to actually face the truth?
Oh, it can be incredibly difficult. Often, it seems to require a really profound jolt, like what the Buddha does next. Jambuka had built his entire identity, his whole world, for 55 years around this lie.
So admitting the truth means dismantling everything.
Exactly. His whole reality. It really highlights the power of delusion, Maya, but also, thankfully, the equally powerful force of truth when it's delivered skillfully.
And the Buddha delivers it.
Oh, yes. This is the moment. He doesn't hold back. He confronts Jambuka directly, exposing the entire lifelong deception.
What does he say?
Something like, "Jambuka, you've been trying to deceive the whole world, and now you want to deceive me too. Isn't it true? Haven't you been eating excrement for 55 years, sleeping on the ground, walking naked, and plucking your hair out with a palm staff?"
Wow. Just lays it all bare.
Every detail. And then, crucially, the Buddha reveals Jambuka's past life.
The jealous monk.
The jealous monk who cursed the Arahant and threw away the alms food. He connects the current bizarre habits directly to those past actions.
How does Jambuka react to having his entire life, past and present, exposed like that?
He's overcome, utterly crushed by shame and remorse. He just humbly sits down on the ground. The performance is over.
And then?
The Buddha shows compassion. He offers Jambuka a bathing cloth, which Jambuka puts on. It's the first step back towards normalcy, towards dignity.
And then the teaching begins.
Yes. The Buddha gives Jambuka a gradual, step-by-step discourse on the Dhamma, the core truths about reality, suffering, and the path to liberation.
And the result?
Instantaneous and profound. At the very end of that teaching, Jambuka attains arahantship, full enlightenment, complete with deep analytical knowledge.
Just like that. After 55 years of that.
Just like that. His negative past karma, the residue from abusing the Arhat, is described as being completely exhausted at that moment, wiped clean by the power of his realization.
That's incredible. The potential the Buddha saw was real.
Absolutely. And then there's one more amazing detail. The Buddha extends his hand and says the formal invitation, "Come, monk, live the holy life." Instantly, Jambuka's appearance transforms. The grime, the nakedness, it all vanishes. He becomes, right then and there, a 60-year-old Arhat monk, properly adorned with robes and carrying an alms bowl. Like magic.
An instant ordination and transformation.
Yep.
Amazing. But the story isn't quite over, is it? What about the public?
Right. The local people, the populace of Anga and Magadha, start arriving with their daily offerings for Jambuka, their great ascetic.
And they see him now, with the Buddha.
Yes, they see both of them, and they're confused. They wonder who is greater. Their assumption is still that Jambuka must be the great one, and this other monk, the Buddha, must have come to pay respects to him.
Still caught up in the old illusion.
Exactly. So, to clear up their doubt and reveal the truth, the Buddha asks Jambuka to demonstrate his attainment.
What does Jambuka do?
He rises up into the air, flies up to a height of 7 palm trees, a standard measure for miraculous flight in these texts. A truly astonishing feat.
Flying. Okay, that would get people's attention.
Definitely. And while up there, he makes a public declaration for everyone to hear. The Buddha is my master. I am his disciple.
Leaving no doubt.
None whatsoever. The crowd is just filled with wonder. They finally understand the Buddha's extraordinary qualities and the true nature of his teachings.
And it's at this point the Buddha delivers a key teaching, right? A verse.
Yes, a profound verse that really crystallizes the core message of this whole deep dive. He says, "Though a fool may eat food with a kusa grass blade month after month for 100 years, he is not worth a 16th part of those who have seen the Dhamma."
Okay, let's unpack that. Eating food with a kusa grass blade. That refers to Jambuka's fake austerity.
Precisely. It symbolizes extreme but ultimately meaningless ascetic practices when done without understanding. The Buddha is basically saying that even if Jambuka had done that kind of misguided practice for 100 years,
It wouldn't be worth even a tiny fraction, a 16th part.
of someone who has genuinely seen the Dhamma, someone who has true insight.
And who does those who have seen the Dhamma refer to?
The Buddha explains this refers to what's called a sankatadama, someone who has understood the constructed nature of reality through direct insight. This ranges from a stream enterer who's had the first definite glimpse of nibbana.
All the way up to an arhat, like Jambuka just became.
Exactly. The point is that even a single moment of genuine good intention, like deciding not to eat something out of conscience, if it comes from someone with real Dhamma understanding, is immeasurably more valuable than centuries of extreme but blind asceticism.
So inner understanding and purity of intention trump outward show every single time by an enormous margin.
That's the core teaching here. And the text adds that at the conclusion of this discourse, after hearing this verse and its explanation, 84,000 beings in the crowd attained some stage of Dhamma understanding themselves.
A lot of ripple effect.
Yeah.
So this deep dive into the Jambuka story, it really shows an incredible journey, deception, massive karmic consequences, but then also this profound, almost unbelievable transformation.
It really does. And it highlights the Buddha's unique wisdom, his deep compassion, and that incredible ability to see past all the surface stuff, right to the true potential within someone.
Yeah. And the story of Jambuka really forces us, I think, to consider the true measure of spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Is it all about the outward things we do, the austerity we display, or is it really about the inner purity of our intentions and the actual depth of our understanding?
A crucial distinction.
It raises a really important question for you listening right now. How do we tell the difference between genuine insight and mere performance? Not just in others, but maybe in ourselves too. And how does this affect what we consider well-informed or authentic in a world just packed with information and claims? What stands out to you from this incredible story?